This is the third video of the series, and I want to quickly talk about if the recession doesn't mean the housing crisis, why are we seeing some price reduction in the marketplace? And this can be really best explained by going back a little bit in time and provide some historic viewpoints on this. And the short answer is we're seeing price reduction because the market is normalizing from last year. The correction really started happening around May, June of last year. And prior to that, during the springtime, you will see multiple offers. In some cases, 5, 6, 7, 10 was not uncommon. And I want to use a really good example so to illustrate this point just based on numbers. So last spring, you're seeing a lot of multiple offers because of limited inventory. And they say a house is listed 1 million, and you may have 5 offers coming into the place. The full offers will be right around 1 million and probably about 1,025,000, 1,050,000, maybe 1,075,000, but they're all pretty clustered pretty closely. Then the fifth offer is generally the offer that just overshot everybody. It may come in at 1.1 million, 1.15 sometimes, or sometimes as ridiculous 1.2. It was not uncommon. And this particular buyer either really wants the house or is not advised properly by the agent, didn't do the due diligence of figuring out what the range of the other 4 offers. So let's say it got accepted at 1.2. You have this $200,000 of overage when in fact the marketplace is really coming around, let's say 1,050,000 or 1,075,000. So that person really overpaid by close to 150,000. So you were seeing a lot of this happening last spring. Then the marketplace eventually figured out, well, this is not what sustainable, or the buyers really figured out either the house is not worth it, that, and they don't want to continue this frenzy of overbidding. So the market eventually slowed down, and it started in May of last year, but we didn't really feel it till about fall, September, October, and we really got a clue of it around end of the year, and this really carried through to most of this year. So this is what we call the false appreciation. That $1.2 million offer that overshot everybody else, that appreciation is really not real. It was a factor of just the marketplace and really uninformed offer. So, as the market corrected itself starting May all the way through this year, some sellers were not advised correctly. They were hoping to get 1.2, or they were not advised properly by the agents. So they started with this 1.2, and eventually, I mean, the real value is 1,050,000. You have to come down to that. And again, the buyers, in some ways, control the market. If they're not willing to make an offer because they don't perceive the value is there, then the seller really have no choice but to come down on the price. Now we're assuming the seller has to sell. So the market is really simple. The buyer and seller, they eventually meet somewhere in the middle of the meeting of the mind, and that's the value of the home. So the price reduction is really a normalization. That's the best way to put it. From what was not a very normal market a year ago, even 2 to 3, depending on the marketplace. So we are now seeing it being normalized. Now, with this information in mind, I want to go further into, so what does it really mean for me? For buyers, especially, depending on the area you look and the home you want to buy, working with a seasoned and experienced and more importantly knowledge buyer's agent is very important. You have some room now to potentially negotiate some of the stronger terms and potentially price to get the home of your dreams. Now, on the flip side, with a seller, it's very important now to have the patience in this marketplace to one, price it realistically, correctly, and market correctly, and finally picking an agent that can hold a live negotiation for you. And if there's a price reduction needed, just because, again, normalizing the market, right? That decision is based on data, not a fear. So these are two most important points to remember. As the market normalizes, depending on your perspective, you need to be working with a seasoned, experienced, and educated agent on your side to make sure your interests, are protected. In the next video, I'm going to go into further like what kind of market are we really on. If we're seeing a price reduction, is it a buyer market? Should the sellers do something different? Just going further into what kind of market we're in.